The artifact hummed softly in Elsa's calloused hands, its surface covered in symbols that hadn't been read in 3,000 years. She sat cross-legged on the cold metal floor of the abandoned research station, her breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. The other scavengers had passed this chunk of carved stone without a second glance. But Elsa saw what they couldn't: patterns within patterns, a linguistic puzzle waiting to be solved. "You're still wasting time on that rock?" Alex's voice echoed through the corridor as he approached, his salvage pack clinking with legitimate finds. Unlike Elsa, he knew what paid the bills. "It's not a rock," Elsa muttered, running her fingers along the grooves. "It's a trilingual inscription, see? This top section is ancient Vecnari. We've known that language for decades. The middle is standard galactic common, but this bottom portion..." Her eyes gleamed with obsessive fascination. "This is something nobody's ever translated." Alex crouched beside her, his expression softening. They'd been orphaned together when the colony transport went down 12 years ago. While other survivors had been adopted into families, Elsa and Alex had slipped through the bureaucratic cracks, raising themselves in the margins of human space. It had made them survivors, but it had also made them different. "The architect's script," Elsa whispered almost reverently. "Linguists have been trying to crack it for a century. Every dead world we've found in this sector has fragments of it, but never enough to build a translation matrix. And you think you can?" Alex wasn't mocking her. He'd learned long ago never to underestimate what Elsa could do when she fixated on something. "This isn't just any fragment, Alex. It's a Rosetta stone. The same message in 3 languages. If I can map the known languages to the unknown..." She trailed off, already lost in the symbols again. Alex sighed and sat down beside her. "We've got 6 hours before the shuttle leaves. Make it count." What followed was the most intense linguistic analysis ever conducted in a freezing derelict station. Elsa worked with savage focus, her portable terminal flickering as she built comparison matrices, identified phonetic patterns, and constructed grammatical frameworks. The architect's script was unlike anything in the known linguistic databases. Its structure was mathematical, almost musical, each symbol carrying layered meanings that shifted based on position and context. "They thought in harmonics," Elsa breathed, 4 hours into her work. Their language wasn't just communication. It was a mathematical representation of reality itself. "Every word is an equation." Alex watched her with quiet amazement. This was why they'd survived when others hadn't. Elsa saw connections where others saw chaos. She found patterns in entropy. As the 5th hour approached, something clicked. Elsa's fingers flew across her terminal, decades of self-taught xenolinguistics crystallizing into comprehension. The symbols began to make sense, not just as words, but as concepts, as frameworks for understanding the universe. "Oh my God," Elsa whispered. "Alex, they weren't just advanced. They were reality engineers. Their language could literally reshape matter at the quantum level. That's why all their worlds are dead. They talked their entire civilization out of existence." "That's impossible," Alex said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Is it? We've found architect ruins on 17 worlds, all dead, all showing signs of catastrophic reality breakdown. What if their language became too powerful? What if they became so good at describing reality that they accidentally undescribed themselves?" Elsa's terminal chimed. The translation matrix was complete. For the first time in 3 millennia, the architect's script could be read. The message itself was hauntingly simple. "To those who come after, language shapes reality. Choose your words with care, for they have more power than you know. We spoke ourselves into gods and gods into nothing. Let our silence teach what our words could not. That some truths are better left unspoken, some equations better left unsolved. Beware the tongue that cuts too deep." A chill ran down Elsa's spine that had nothing to do with the station's temperature. She looked at the endless strings of untranslated architect text scrolling across her screen. Technical manuals, philosophical treatises, scientific journals, all written in a language that could potentially unmake reality. "What are you going to do with this?" Alex asked quietly. Elsa stared at her work. Months of effort condensed into one brilliant afternoon of insight. She thought about the academic glory awaiting anyone who cracked the architect script. She thought about the power contained in those symbols. She thought about the 17 dead worlds. Then she thought about the orphaned kids she and Alex sometimes helped in the station slums, the ones who reminded her of who they'd been. She thought about humanity, barely 100 years into space exploration, already so confident in their superiority. "We're not ready," Elsa said finally. "Maybe we'll never be ready." Her fingers moved across the terminal with decisive finality. She encrypted the translation matrix behind a quantum lock that would take 100 years to crack. The architect's script would remain silent a while longer. "You just threw away fame and fortune," Alex observed. "I know." Elsa stood, tucking the artifact into her pack. "But some languages are dead for a reason. The architects learned that lesson too late. Maybe humanity can learn it in time." As they walked toward the shuttle bay, Alex put his arm around her shoulders. "For an orphan who barely finished formal school, you're pretty wise." Elsa smiled grimly. "I had a good teacher, Dead Civilizations. They're very thorough in their warnings if you know how to listen." Behind them, the research station fell back into silence, its secrets kept safe by an orphaned human, who understood that the most powerful translations are sometimes the ones left unspoken.